Lifetime's Intimate Portrait, hosted by Meredith Vieira.
This is her story, her words.
She overall directed The Best of Times, Horace Greeley High School's spring finale. She was by far the most experienced director Horace Greeley had ever seen.
I couldn't live without her. That's what she tells me now.
Dani has that sparkle, that charisma that you need. I don't think it's about talent.
Just knowing her is really what I owe my career to.
It took me 15 years to realize what she had been saying was, you're a little black kid, you should be tapping.
But once she reached the top of her game, she was tested.
No one can understand how difficult it is to have to feel so unfulfilled when the entire town sees you as successful.
Through her pain, she continued to be a trailblazer and pioneer for her friends who followed her into the entertainment business. Dani Alpert, as you've never seen her before. Because you've never actually seen her before until now.
What a bitch.
Now, a story of a woman who's as loving and loyal as she is unknown. This is Lifetime's Intimate Portrait of Dani Alpert. Danielle Nicole Alpert was born on September 19th, 1966 at 9:20 p.m. in New York City.
My mom spelled Nicole, Nicol, with no E and an accent over the O. Why would you just make up the spelling of a name?
It was the late 60s, and Dani was surrounded by the music of Dylan, dungaree skirts, marijuana, and macrame. When her parents weren't getting high, they'd take her into the city to see the big Broadway musicals.
I know she has a lot of strong influences, Barbara, Cher, Bet. I think she has kind of a bit of each of them in her.
She doesn't sort of dip her toe in and say, maybe I'll be a dancer, maybe I'll be a singer. She dives right in and she pulls you into that well of enthusiasm.
I've always had this fascination with singing. Loved holding microphones, made me feel like a star. I wanted it so badly that I would just keep practicing and practicing and practicing until I got fairly okay.
She thought she could sing, but she couldn't sing. My son has a wonderful voice.
Dear Tom, look what you've done. You've told the world that braces were fun. When you turned 40, you dumped your wife for a hot Spanish actress and started a new life.
Dani had always wanted to sing like her idol, but then her dream would be shattered into 45 tiny pieces.
She did not make chorus, and it really devastated her. As a matter of fact, I think she cried, which Dani never did.
Who's that bad in 5th grade? There's been some close calls where I've almost been rejected.
That just ripped us apart. We couldn't believe it. Me? I sing for fun. Never let go.
Dani's not the kind of person you say no to. Never was, never will be. She knew deep down she had the chops, or she was going to try to convince people that she did.
You know, if we were all singers, who would be listening?
Despite her vocal challenges, Dani was cast in the inspirational musical Runaways.
It was a strange choice for Chappaqua. What did we know about running away?
We talked about drugs and sex and a lot of things that, we didn't know anything about, but that we were singing about.
It was so much of that gritty acting work. Dani was so good at that. You would have thought she was a runaway.
I had 2 backup singers. We both got to wear punk makeup. Dani didn't. I think this was something that really informed a lot of her career to come.
I found this camp at the back of the New York Times magazine section, Stage Door Manor, Theater Performing Arts Camp.
She was cast in the lead of Chicago, which was, a prostitute.
Worked in the big leagues, worked in a place where it was about the professional theater. And she came back a different girl. She came back singing.
We saw her career take off from there.
Like a dream come true, Dani was chosen to be the overall director of the spring finale. an end-of-the-year show written, directed, and produced by the students.
She really saw people's talents, and I think that was her talent. I wanted to be more like Dani, but I found that I was just, a bitch and a cheerleader.
Well, we have a little black kid that, can sing and dance, and we need to find him something. I was Michael Jackson after that. You don't really want to mess with her. You might as well just do it.
Some cynics in show business downplay the high school show, but for Dani, she was a director, producer, singer, writer, dancer, actor, and production designer, all by the time she graduated high school.
Dani's been in this business for a long time, and the first thing you have to do is get a headshot. She got her headshots when she was really young, I think early high school.
She gets an eye infection, new headshot. She gets her bladder infection, new headshot. New haircut, new headshot. Gel in the hair, new headshot. Gel out of the hair, new headshot. She's got headshots for every mood, every change, every moment in her career. It's your calling card. You need that, and she knows that.
You gotta keep up with the glosses and the mattes.
I wanted to be one of those people that called my agent and said, "Hey agent, where's the audition?" Or, "Oh agent, I've got new headshots."
Dani signed with Lee Buckler at the Margie Fields agency and started auditioning. Once, she got a call back for a Sprite commercial. She even did some modeling. It was all happening just the way she had planned it. But Dani Alpert was about to be derailed. Dani insisted on going to NYU, but coming off the huge success of the spring finale, New York and NYU proved to be a real challenge.
I did not apply to the theater department because I really didn't want to audition. I got really scared to get back on stage. I had so much success so early on. I think I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to repeat it.
So instead, she went to the film school. You didn't have to audition to get into that one.
She stopped going to theater. She didn't go see the big musicals anymore. It was sad. It was like a new Dani.
I did not fit in with my film school classmates because they were interested in film.
As a film major, Dani only made one film, a very short film.
The only thing weighing her down was that nose. It said Dani, it said, get out of my way, which really spoke to who she was.
I was very upset when I heard that Dani had a nose job. She was so beautiful and so unique.
Armed with a new attitude and a new nose, Dani started meeting people, important people, the offspring of important people.
It kind of made me feel like I was a celebrity's offspring as well.
Dani graduated from NYU without having made a senior film, but got to be an extra on Another World. Dani packed up her car and hit the road. She drove across the country and settled in Seattle. Dani worked in the theater, but there was something still tugging at her. It was time to move again.
What was I doing in Seattle? I mean, nobody famous ever came out of Seattle.
Dani makes another mistake and goes back to film school.
How quickly I forgot.
Dani got into the prestigious American Film Institute. She spent 3 days deconstructing Chinatown, and that was just the opening credits.
I'll start meeting people, famous people, and then it'll happen that way.
Maybe not directing, maybe not the acting, producing. And she was good. They loved her. She had it all down pat. She was more into it, more almost juiced or pumped into the business.
I really had no interest in making films. I hardly even went to the movies.
She's incredibly organized, and she's very ambitious and organized.
After a year of producing at AFI, Dani was at a crossroads again. Dani worked a variety of jobs, searching. Soon, she was making a name for herself as a theater producer. Dani decided to produce her friend's New York show in Los Angeles.
Getting the phone call from Dani from Los Angeles. She was here. She was making things happen. And she said, pack your bags. You'll hear that once in your life.
They were doing what I kept thinking about doing, but wasn't doing. I couldn't be around it anymore.
After leaving her friends in the lurch, Dani spent years assisting writers, agents, and actors.
One day, Dani and I were sitting around talking. She said to me, "Julia, you know what? The things you're telling me are really sad, but they're also really funny. Why don't you write a show about it? Because when I listen to you, I just think the universe has just laughed at you." Like God said ha, and then she came up with the title.
Who really remembers who came up with what or when? I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Dani caught a break when a friend told her about an opportunity to write on a television pilot.
Actually, Dani was the only one that interviewed. And she had no experience, but she had great genes on. When we worked in the office, she would file everything. I mean, she would file things that were not ours. They belonged to another office.
For a short time, Dani and Allie were a hot writing team, writing for film studios, pitching ideas all over town, and sitting with Courtney Love in 2-hour meetings in Courtney's living room. Dani still wanted to perform, and it was eating away at her like a cancer. Then, stand-up comedy knocked at her front door. Dani was home, and she answered it.
When she told her father and I that she was going to do stand-up, we said, where did that come from?
She's grasping the one thing that brought her to that stage. Not talent, a microphone.
If I'm holding a microphone, it really doesn't matter what I'm doing.
If you don't use a microphone and stand up, you're just standing there.
Dani!
Dani.
Dani! Dani! If you want my body, then you think I'm sexy. She used to get really red because she was so nervous, and she was doing a really good job. You know, she was always very funny and witty.
She was never funny growing up. My son was the comedian.
Comedy was just coming at you. It was just coming at you. And a lot of times it missed me, but the times that it hit me, it hit me. You know, it was like.
I didn't really have that stand-up comic lifestyle, which really was about late nights. And I'm really the kind of person that likes to be in bed by 10.
You know, when she did it, when she had the flavor. That's the thing about Dani, she's about flavors. I tasted that. I'm not interested anymore. If anything, Dani is a starter.
Dani got an agent, and within a month, she booked her first national commercial.
I couldn't get through it without weeping. I have a Shakespearean sonnet here we could discuss. Call us fanatics, but
You're new here, right?
if it helps the customer get the right product, it's worth it.
A commercial, if it's shot well and the dialogue is good, you can really go far.
And once she did it, I think she was over it, but which I think is a common theme.
Although she stopped auditioning for commercials, Dani continued to perform.
It's Billy D. Williams! Wait a minute! Can I just say, Billy D. Williams was fine.
Stripping is about emotion and feeling and sexuality. I still got it. So I have a little cellulite. I mean, who doesn't?
She wasn't famous yet, but boy, was she meeting and working with some famous folks.
You don't leave the house.
I enjoy the sandwiches.
Fabulous pancake.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Brooks.
One of the best things was meeting Chastity Bono.
The first time I met her, I walked into my apartment and she was playing tambourine in the hallway. You're Cher's daughter. What are you doing in my hallway?
Hanging out with Chas was great, but Dani wasn't going to rest on her laurels. She had unfinished business to attend to.
I had success in my writing career. I was meeting people like Chastity Bono, and it was all going very well. But there was just one thing that I still hadn't tackled.
Dani Live opened on May 28, 2003 at 9 p.m. at the Improv Olympic on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, California.
I've got bad knees, bunions, and a stiff neck. Otherwise, I'm in great shape. Time to braces, braces.
This was about facing her demons and finally doing the things that she loves to do.
I don't think I had any ulterior motives about getting industry there, which is good because no industry came.
Her breasts are real, and so's her attitude.
For Lifetime's Intimate Portrait, I'm Meredith Vieira.
That means acting, Reed, and I suck. Okay, well, that was somewhat natural, no?